he is just so passionate about this practice, and he loves it so much, and he loves new students. He loves beginners. He gives so much to them. He spends so much time with them. And it was just really touching, and really, it was so inspiring for me as a practitioner, as a teacher, to just be like, yeah, this is what it's about. It's about the people who, don't come in like from some other place thinking they know everything. It's about the people who are just there and like want to learn. At the end of teaching for, like 6 hours already, he would sit with 3 students left in that room and just sit there and work with them until they were done.
Really. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
He's been in
hard
there
work.
for 6 hours teaching, and he would sit on that stage with 3 students left and make sure that they were getting it.
Think of this practice in terms of months and years. This is what I used to tell people. Some people listen, some people not. But then I realized, no, it's not even months and years. It's like first decade, second decade. Like you can do a lot in 10 years, But I think what happens and what trips people up is they think, I want to do all this in a year. Do you know what I mean? Like we overestimate what we're going to do in a year, and we underestimate what we're going to do in the 10 years.
Yeah.
So we're like, we go really, really hard, and we push and we break ourselves, and then Ashtanga gets this really bad rap because, I blew out my knees, I blew out my shoulder, I did this, I did blow out my back. It's like whatever, because we're pushing forward and we're not creating a patient, long-term approach to the practice.
Yeah, and I like that about the practice, that, that it's daily. Just do your best, and then try again tomorrow, and then try again tomorrow, and some days it's going to be really easy, and other days it might be hard, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be your, like, best, like, most radical practice every single day. It can just be whatever it is that day, and it doesn't mean that, like, if you can't do one posture one day, that tomorrow you're not going to be able to do it too, right? Yeah. Tomorrow you might be able to do it just fine. But I think sometimes people get really caught up on the, this one practice or the form of the practice, as opposed to just like the overall.
What's the 10-year effect?
Yeah, the overall effect versus, the 10-year effect versus like the one-day effect, right?
Yeah. High performance and acquisition, really, and that's what we're going at. That's what the West brings to this, and so as Westerners, we often bring that to our practice. It's like, so you can get here and you can be performing for Shirok the whole time.
We're so caught up with I got to do this, and how am I going to do this? It's like, how am I going to reach enlightenment?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You can't reach enlightenment. Just relax. Let it happen.
Yeah.
Right?
But it is kind of like it is even like the 8 limbs, right? If you think of the first 4 limbs as
there's
being,
things you can do to set up the conditions so that this will arise within you.
Yeah.
But focusing on forcing it to arise within you isn't going to help you.
No, that'll be an obstacle as well, of course.
But you also have to have that desire, or at least some insight into that's the reason why you're doing it. I think having Jediah probably changed the way I practice a lot. 100%. And I also kind of, I think when I first started practicing, there was like conditions that I felt I needed to have in order to practice. And I think after having Jediah, I realized that, I don't need those conditions. I can just practice. Like, sure, there's optimum conditions, that might give you a better feeling when you're practicing, or you might feel like able to, like, do more, go deeper, but you don't necessarily need those conditions. So I learned I can practice like at any time of the day, and I can practice anywhere, and it doesn't need to be like a 2-hour thing. So I think my idea of practice maybe became more expansive, and also the inner determination and strength I have for my practice also grew. Before, when I was practicing, it was more about, I don't know, it had just a different focus. Like, it was a big spiritual thing that I was doing, and, like, my focus was really, which is great. Like, it's good. It wasn't a bad focus, but it was like, this is my practice, and it's so spiritual, and I need it, and it has to be at this time, and And now, you know, I practice because I actually need it. like I actually experience like such a huge difference in myself, in my mental health, in my well-being every day. In a way, you sort of take it for granted, its effects. And then when your life is really busy and you have a lot more responsibilities and not as much time to practice, you don't take for granted the effects because like you feel the effects immediately. I still obviously, you know, practice in a very traditional manner and follow, you know, the traditional sequence and all that, but maybe some days I can only do half primary. Some days maybe it's just sun salutations, you know, like, but, and I learned to be okay with that and just to like value whatever amount of practice I'm able to do.
Enough, if you do enough, it's enough, it's okay.
Yeah.
But enough is necessary. This is the part that we sometimes mess up, I think. For 4 years I've done daddy yoga, that's what I call it, you know, like it's just, it doesn't resemble, you know, like the full practice we do here. And so every time I get back here, it's like rebuilding the practice. And, you know, I asked Sharat and he said, you know, you do what you can. He didn't say do all of primary, do all of second, do all of third. It's like he said do what you can. But he didn't say, you know, do this posture and this posture. Let me do like 3 A's and then I want to do this and then I want to do that. He's like, no, do what you can, but do it. He's not saying try, he's saying do it. It's like what Yoda said, you know, there's do and do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
It's like, did you do it or not? Do what you can.
Yeah.
Do what you can.